Welcome to the Weather Gurus podcast for June 23rd, 2022. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again. We're going to be looking at the national picture for the lower 48 United States and the general theme headlines, as well as the news and as well as the tropical update that we have going on here. As we round out the month of June here, things are looking at to be a significant heat wave that's going to be affecting the southeast and the upper Midwest and the lower Midwest here. Temperatures exceeding 100 degrees, actual temperatures, air temperatures, and heat indices approaching 115 degrees in many of the locations here, Fahrenheit, in many of the locations here that are stretching from the panhandle of Florida over towards Houston, Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Kansas, Salina, Kansas, and into Omaha, Nebraska, and up through the Dakotas, and even Minneapolis hit a record 100 degrees just 2 days ago Fahrenheit. They're currently sitting at 94 degrees Fahrenheit in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're sitting at 102 degrees in Dallas-Fort Worth, 98 degrees Fahrenheit in Houston, 98 degrees Fahrenheit in New Orleans, 104 degrees in Tallahassee, Florida, 98 degrees Fahrenheit in Atlanta, and even this 88 degrees, upper 80s in the Appalachian Mountains towns of Virginia, Waynesboro, and Roanoke, Virginia, and also the other areas too as well. So it's very hot across the country for the maximum temperatures. Even in the desert Southwest, it's still 110, 111 in Phoenix, 109 in Palm Springs, California, 101 in Fresno, California, 100 in the Bay Area, just north of San Francisco there, Fahrenheit. Even Seattle and Portland is getting into the heat as there are 87 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit, respectively, ladies and gentlemen. So you can see the heat wave is on. Summer is here. There's also a rounds of severe weather to charge through the plains here on Friday. So because of the hot and humid and sticky conditions, there will be a cold front approaching and coming out of the Rockies from Cheyenne and coming into the high plains there from Kearney, Nebraska, through Pierre and Sioux Falls, South Dakota, down through Omaha, Nebraska. There will be a risk for severe storms erupting. Thunderstorms will erupt on Friday in the afternoon. Now, the heaviest of the thunderstorms will be located in the zone from Fargo, North Dakota, down through the Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities, over to Rochester, Minnesota, and Omaha, Nebraska. The upper Midwest and Northern Plains, there were over 170 damaging wind reports and almost 40 reports of hail and 3 tornado reports over the last 2 days so far, the past couple of days. And this has been the zone that we're going to be continuing to watch as we expect through Thursday night into Friday. Now, most of the is going to be some isolated tornadoes, hail up to 3 inches in diameter, and localized winds as high as straight line winds as high as 70 to 80 miles an hour. So we're going to be looking at that zone very closely here, and the SPC has outlined that region. The Storm Prediction Center has outlined that region as well as an area that we need to watch. Now, on to the tropics, guys. This is very interesting. We have a Cape Verde tropical wave out there, way off the coast, over the coast of Africa there, okay? It's producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms, according to the National Hurricane Center. They only give it a 20% chance through 5 days to form. Now, this is primarily because there's a lot of Saharan dust and a lot of wind shear that this storm has to, this system entity has to overcome, okay? But once it gets toward the Windward Islands, there's a chance that this could develop into something. And so I'm giving it a 40% chance to develop over 5 days instead of the 20% chance, because once it can get over this wind shear and Saharan dust episode that's going on in the middle of the Atlantic, guys, there's a chance that this thing, if it gets into the Caribbean Sea basin, a chance that it could develop. Now, whether or not it becomes a tropical depression or tropical storm remains to be seen. But it's very possible that when we get through the July the 4th weekend, or into the, before the first of the month of July, that we could be dealing with some type of tropical depression or tropical storm here from this system here. It may die out or regenerate, but that's what we're looking at here with this system. It's still far off the coast. It's still satellite data information that we have here is still way out there. It's still a couple of thousand miles or so away from the Windward Islands, but it is progressing very closely there to that area here. And I just want to give you, and it does have a very healthy presentation on the satellite presentation in terms of showers. Even though they're disorganized, there's a lot of convection around the center that could form a closed form of low there. So just want to keep you updated on that. Now, as far as the Eastern Pacific, we do have Cecilia still out there. Cecilia is a tropical storm. 50-mile-an-hour winds, 45 knots winds, pressures at 1,000 millibars. It's still moving west-northwest at 10 knots or 12 miles an hour, and it will continue its journey toward Cabo San Lucas. Some showers up there before heading out in the cooler waters. Where it will eventually disintegrate into a tropical storm, and then by Tuesday of next week, it'll just be a depression floating around out there for shipping and mariner interests as well. So most of these storms take a northwest track out there, and it just be as far away from Cabo San Lucas, but it will produce some showers and some swells on the beach there. So rip current risk will be affected by those people, for those who are vacationing in that area. The Central Pacific and Hawaii look quiet. No tropical cyclone activity is expected during the next 48 hours. So that's great news, guys. The watches and warnings today, we just have a bunch of heat advisories all the way stretching from the south of Atlanta, from Macon, Georgia, all the way down through the Panhandle of Florida, Jacksonville, back through the I-10 corridor, through Baton Rouge, Mobile, into New Orleans and Hammond, Louisiana, stretching up through Shreveport, Louisiana, and Texarkana region, and on over through Tulsa and Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. These areas are under a heat advisory for temperatures between 105 and 110 Fahrenheit, heat indices approaching 115, okay? We also have an excessive heat warning in the high plains from Salina, Kansas, through Topeka and Wichita, Kansas, and on those areas on the Nebraska-Kansas border. And then we also have a heat advisory for our folks in the north and the northwest, the PNW, the Pacific Northwest. We don't want to forget about you guys. If you're coming up the I-5 Interstate 5 corridor through Salem, Oregon, into Portland and the Dalles, you're in the Columbia River Gorge. You're under a heat advisory currently right now, so be on the lookout for that today. The fires are also being helped by the monsoonal flow that's coming up through the southwest jet stream there. The monsoonal flow has begun. The monsoonal season has begun, and that has quieted or quelled a lot of the red flag warnings in the Four Corners region there. So that's good news. Absolute blessing there as well. We also have a brief flood warning toward the International Falls area. There's some flood warnings there, and also Minnesota, and there's also some flood warnings in South Dakota. For a river in South Dakota, there's a flood warning extending there, and for a little river there, that rivers flow south to north there. So be on the lookout for that as well. So this has been your Weather Guru update for June 23rd, 2022. Thank you for listening. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care. Be sure to subscribe. Take care.